In today's video, I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step guide on how to achieve a classic and soft smoky eye, just like a pro. We're going to go through which brushes you need, what to look for when picking your colors, how to seamlessly blend out tones, and so much more. I think you'll be really surprised to learn how easy it is to actually achieve a very professional looking smoky eye, even if you're a beginner with makeup. Let's get started. All right, so my first step, whenever I am doing a darker eye for a special occasion, is to apply some kind of under eye mask on myself or on my clients. Now, the reason that I like to do this is not only to hydrate, firm, and depuff the under eye area, which an under eye mask does pretty much immediately, okay? And it does it very well. If you're unfamiliar with them, I suggest you pick some of them up for those days when you are puffy and feeling very crepey and you just need hydration and you need all of the things. An under eye mask does all of the things quickly, but it also works really well to catch any shadow fallout. This is always important, right? But it's especially important when we're working with darker shadow tones. The one that I'm using here is by the brand Skin Iceland, and it's the Hydro Cool Firming Eye Gel. I really like this one because it doesn't slip and slide around the face like a lot of the under eye masks do. My second step is brows, okay? I know a lot of people don't do this step first, but I do. I really like applying my brow makeup first before applying anything else so that I have framing around the eyes that I can work with, okay? I really need my eyes to be framed by my brows so that I can map out my eye makeup. For the last several months, I've been doing my brows by gelling them down with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Gel and then sketching in individual hair strokes in the hollow zones using the Glossier Brow Flick Pen. Now, if you want to try out this brow technique, but you're on a budget, I discovered two awesome things this month, okay? You can replace the Anastasia Brow Gel for the one by Rimmel. It's virtually identical, it's amazing. And you can replace the Glossier Brow Pen for the one by Maybelline, which is also equally as good for much less money. I can tell you with 100% certainty that I won't buy either of those expensive products anymore because these kind of drugstore dupes are just as good for way, way less money. Okay, now we need to color balance our eyelids and prime them so that we have a seamless base to blend shadows on top of, and also to make sure that the oils from our eyelids don't corrode our eye makeup and make it crease throughout the day or night, or simply have it not last. Okay, so we need to prime. It's very important. You can prime by applying a concealer and setting it with a powder, or if you're especially oily like I am, I have extremely oily skin, then you can get an actual eyelid primer for this. When applying an eyelid primer or even the concealer, right, if you're using concealer, you want to apply it from your lash line all the way up to the brow bone, and then you want to lightly dust a translucent powder over it so that it's not sticky. You don't want it to be too tacky and too sticky because then you're going to have a hard time blending shadows on top of. So just dust a little powder over it and then you're going to be good to go. Now we can move on to shading the crease. So you want to shade the crease first, and you want to start with something called a transition shade. So a transition shade is going to be a shade that's just a little bit darker than your skin tone, and what it's going to do is it's going to create a little bit of shadow, a little bit of depth in the crease, and that shadow and depth is going to work really well as a base to build other shadow and depth on top of. So just like when you're painting a wall, if you're painting a wall a really dark color, you're not just going to go in with that dark color right from the get-go. You need something under it to support the darkness, or else it's going to look patchy. So if you've ever done a smoky eye and you thought it looks so patchy, it's because you didn't build up the tones. The first thing I did, as you can see, is I applied a transition color with a really fluffy crease brush, and I buffed that into the crease, creating that nice shadow. And then what I did is I dipped into a deeper shade. So you can use any shade of your choice, okay? As long as it's a little bit deeper than your transition shade, and you can go over the transition shade, so go right on top of it, and you can build up the depth of the crease that way. After you've gotten your crease to look nice and deep, okay, you have that shadow where you want it and you have the depth of color where you want it, you can then move on to a clean lid shader brush. Now, a lid shader brush is quite different than a crease brush. It's actually flat, and it works really well for packing color on the eyelid. It packs on more color than a crease brush does. A crease brush diffuses, a lid shader kind of packs things on. So in this look, I dipped into a really light tone, okay? A nice like kind of skin color tone, and I pressed that into the lid. If you look here, you can see how I'm doing sweeping and pressing motions. I'm just trying to brighten up the eyelid because I don't want the whole thing to be so dark. I want the darkness to be centered more on the outside. And then I am kind of sweeping to blend, okay? So we're packing the shadow we're sweeping to blend. Now, after I have that lid nice and bright, I take a look at where I need more smoke, and I always save my darkest tone for the end, okay? So using more of a precision crease brush, so this is just like a fluffy crease brush, but it's smaller and denser. It's gonna deposit more pigment. That's when I dip into my darkest tone of the day, okay? So in this case, it was a really nice dark chocolate brown, and I shade out a V on the outside of the eye. So it looks just like a sideways V where it gets darker just through here and goes into the crease. So it goes from the lash line to the crease in a sideways V formation. Now that's really what's gonna make your smoky eye sultry and super sexy. It's that last color. And I like to do that after I have my lid color on because I need to blend it and melt it into my lid color. If I were to do that last color first, apply my lid color would mute it out and it would lighten it. So we want to stack it the other way. Okay, so we're building up the crease with two tones, you know, your transition shade, a little bit of a deeper tone, then we're adding the lid color, then we're smoking out the lid color. Now this next step is completely optional. I wanted to show you guys something a little bit different. You can get these liquid shadows. This one is by Haus Labs. Liquid shadows are very, very pigmented and they're very intense. Stila makes an amazing set of liquid shadows as well. So if you want a pop of illumination in the lid, get yourself a liquid shadow. Now they're a little bit trickier to apply. You can't really apply them with a traditional lid shader brush. It's not going to work very well. You need something that has like dense synthetic hair, almost like a lip brush. Actually, a lip brush would work perfectly fine for it. And you want to apply it by patting it on the lid. Because it's wet, you need to pat it or else you're going to smear and like completely disrupt the eye makeup. So as you can see, I am patting it here with that really nice flat dense brush. Another way to apply this in a way that I often apply it, I showed it here as well, is with my fingertips. So if you don't have this brush, if you feel like you're not going to use it enough, you can definitely apply it on your hand, take it from your hand and then pat it onto the eyelid that way. Now, the only thing that I caution you is don't open your eyes until it's 100% dry. It's such a wet product. If you open, you're immediately going to touch the crease and it's going to transfer and then it's going to crease. So you don't want to do that. Just pat it on, keep your eyes down for 2-3 minutes even, and then when it's dry, you can open and continue doing the rest of the makeup. Now, our next step is liner. I'm gonna do a smoky liner. So the way that I do that is I take a pencil that has a really waxy consistency that's easy to blend out. A really staple one for a lot of makeup artists is this one by Makeup Forever. I start on the outside of the eye, I sketch in, getting thinner as I get closer to the tear duct on the inside. And then I take a pencil brush. So a pencil brush is kind of a rounded, super tiny, very precise brush. It's the perfect balance of firmness and precision and softness for creating like a smoky wing or a smoky liner look. And all you want to do is go over that line to blur and blend it out. Now, after you do that, you're gonna wanna also dip that pencil brush into an actual matte black shadow and go over it again. Now, I bet you're wondering, why don't we just do this with shadow to begin with? You definitely can. You can definitely go in and shade with a shadow only, but you won't get the depth of color and you may also not get the longevity of wear. So if you're going to an event, you want this to last for a really long time, I definitely suggest stacking a liner and then setting it with a powder instead of only using a powder or only using an eyeliner. If you only use an eyeliner, it might feel a little harsh looking. A powder is gonna soften and blend it out. The combination of the two is kind of the perfect combination for creating any type of smoky eye look. And then of course, we repeat everything on the other side. So you can see that I am applying that liquid eyeshadow, letting it dry. Then I'm applying my eyeliner and then I am blending my eyeliner out with that pencil brush and I am dipping into a black eyeshadow and softening the line even more and stretching it up. Now we can remove our under eye gel masks. Now to prep under my eyes, I've been using this Aquaphor hack. Scott Barnes talked about this on Instagram. I got super intrigued, did a whole video on the Aquaphor hack to see if it really helps with fine lines and wrinkles. For me, it definitely helped a lot. It really kept that area moist and not dried out throughout the day. So I just apply a little bit of that Aquaphor lip balm under my eyes and pat it in. Then I do my foundation, and then I go in with my concealer. Now for my concealer, because I have such dark hollows, I like to go in with a color corrector first. The color corrector that works really well for medium skin tones is the Vasanti Liquid VO2. I've been using that a lot. I've been getting a lot of questions on my videos from people who have lighter skin than me. Vasanti Liquid VO2 will not work if you have lighter skin. It's way too dark and they don't have a shade range. It's just one color. So what I suggest for that is going in with the Charlotte Tilbury color corrector. I actually have that in my kit for my clients, and it comes in an array of different colors. It's a beautiful little package and it's perfect. It's a perfect color corrector for someone with lighter skin tones. After blending that color corrector out, I then go in with a brightening concealer, dragging it down my nose to kind of offset that hollow, balance that out and pop it forward. And then I go in here on the outside of the eye to lift the face up. In order to prevent my under eyes from creasing throughout the day, I like to dust a little bit of my Givenchy Prisma Libre powder on with a fluffy kind of dome-shaped brush. Now that the under eyes are color corrected and they're brightened, we have to bring some of that shading back under the eyes to create a really harmonious smoky eye, right? So the way that we're gonna do that is actually by doing what we did on top, on the bottom, okay? This is how you do it. So you're gonna start with your transition shade and you're gonna use a shader brush. So this is the perfect brush for under the eyes. If you're doing any type of smoky look, you need a shader brush for under the eyes. All of the brushes used in this video are gonna be linked in the description box below for you. So going in with that transition shade, we're starting to build the color, okay? We're not going in with the dark color first, so it's gonna be splotchy. We're starting with our transition shade, which is about 2 shades darker than my skin tone. Then we dip into that second color, which is that darker color we used in the crease, and we go right on top of that transition shade. So we're building up the depth of color. And now what we can do, if we want to, it's not 100% necessary, but I like how it looks, is then dip into that matte black. Because there's so much black smoke here on the top of the eye, I like connecting it to the bottom of the eye, not all the way to the tear duct, but starting, you know, on the outer third of the eye. So I still have brown smoke on the inside that then melts into a black smoke that connects with the top eyelid. After that, I dipped into the lightest shade in that Makeup by Mario palette, and I highlighted my brow bone and the inside where my tear ducts are. I think that's really nice to add a little bit of brightness, a little bit of pop right there. Now off camera, I applied some mascara, and you can see here how it looks with no lashes on. I find that it's actually a very, very soft, smoky eye. It's dramatic in its own way, but it's still very wearable. Now, if you wanna take this up a notch, you can definitely add lashes. For this look, I chose to use these Velour Plant Fiber lashes. I really love these from the Velour line. I think they're so wispy and so beautiful. And you can see here how it looks without lashes and with lashes. So lashes really add a lot of drama to the look, but it also kind of hides the eye makeup a little bit, unless you're using much softer, more natural lashes. So that's something to keep in mind. As my very last step, after my lashes are on, I like to add another final coat of mascara. Some people skip this because they don't want to wreck, you know, really expensive lashes. If you go easy and you don't go too heavy with your mascara coat, all that I think it does is it kind of combines your lash with the false lash. It turns them into one lash, and then it feels more comfortable on the eyes. In my opinion, it looks a lot more natural as well. And here is the finished look. It's glamorous, it's smoky, but it's still very soft and wearable. I hope that I was able to take some of that mystery out of the smoky eye look for you guys today. This video's over.